Hola amigos, sean bienvenidos a un nuevo video para el canal. Y hoy vamos a reaccionar a los 10 secretos perdidos de Poppy Playtime Capítulo 2. Así es, ideas descartadas, no usadas de Poppy Playtime Capítulo 2 están aquí. Y puse los títulos en español y este video fue lanzado el 5 de mayo del 2023. Y adivinen, el video es del canal de Mob Entertainment. O sea, esto es oficial de Mob Entertainment. Y bueno, sin más preámbulos, vamos a comenzar. En 3, 2, 1, vamos allá.
Hey guys, it's Micah, and for Chapter 2's 1-year anniversary, I'm going to reveal to you 10 lost secrets from Poppy Playtime Chapter 2. We'll be discovering everything from deleted scenes, lost locations, to over a dozen unused characters. Keep in mind, this list does contain major spoilers for Chapter 2, so if you haven't played it yet, go play it, then come back.
Okay,
you have been warned. Before we start, I want to let you know we're doing a giveaway for 10 copies of Chapter 2. More information on how to win your free copy later in the video. Now, without further ado, let's get into it.
Bueno, empecemos.
Number 1. Chapter 2's alternate opening. Poppy Playtime fans will remember that Chapter 2 opens with us exploring
Vale, aquí es donde comienza el capítulo 2, como todos lo conocemos.
But Chapter 2 didn't always start this
Claro.
In a now deleted opening of the chapter, after freeing Poppy from her case, you wake up and are
vale, iba a ser diferente.
the sight of Poppy peeking out behind a door. The sequence continues with you following Poppy as she slinks throughout various hallways.
Ok, tenemos que seguir a Poppy.
Then led you back outside to where Huggy Wuggy fell in Chapter 1.
Vale, aquí es donde Huggy Wuggy se cayó, ¿recuerdan?
Down the catwalks and conveyor belts from Chapter 1. Eventually leading to a power puzzle that activated an elevator, taking you down to the game station to meet your new foe, Mommy Longlegs. Now, you're probably wondering why this never ended up in the game. There were a few reasons
tenemos que completar eso.
The first reason was chasing Poppy was just turning out too funny. The sequence went through 3 major iterations, starting with you straight up chasing Poppy to follow her, but that just ended up being way too funny. Version 2 was Poppy peeking out behind doorways and walls, but that was almost even funnier. In the last version, you see Poppy's shadow moving across the floor and walls. This version was definitely the creepiest iteration, and it's the one we ended up sticking with for quite a long time. But in the end, it was abandoned for just feeling a little too cheesy. The second reason was simple. It was too long. You went through a 10-minute parkour sequence and a wild goose chase without really learning or seeing anything interesting.
¿Sí se
Which leads us to
imaginan
the
eso?
final reason for the scene's abandonment. Mommy Longlegs had no mention or build-up. To fix these shortcomings, we completely redid the intro sequence. We first added Elliot Ledman's office to the sequence so you had an interesting location to explore. We then changed following Poppy to Poppy talking to you to make her a relatable character instead of just a cheesy horror doll that you follow around. Then we added a scene forcing you to watch Poppy be kidnapped before your eyes to build up the threat of Mommy Longlegs. And finally, we had you jump down a slide rather than jump down catwalks for 10 minutes. In the end, these changes are why the alternate opening of Chapter 2 never saw the light of day. Number 2, Mommy Longlegs' alternate intro scene. Mommy's intro scene was one of the hardest things to get right in Chapter 2. The scene went through multiple versions of dialogue and pacing. These alternate versions, while relatively similar to the final, had a few key differences. Here's the first alternate version.
Okay.
Why, oh my! Hello down there! I wasn't expecting company.
Vale.
Always tells Mommy when guests are on their way down. Didn't this time. Always tells Mommy. Shh. You're okay now.
Okay,
Mommy
vale.
will take care of you. Mommy wants to take you somewhere special. It's easy to get lost down here. Some have lost their way and never found it again. But Mommy won't let that happen to you. Mommy always knows where you are.
Vale, ahí es donde se va.
So yeah, in this version of the scene, there were a few key elements missing from the
Dice que
storytelling.
faltan algunos elementos.
1, Mommy's introduction to the story didn't influence anything about your current objective. 2, the player had no reason to feel threatened by Mommy Longlegs because she had no prior build-up at the time. So we addressed some of these issues in version 2.
Why? Oh,
Vale,
my.
es lo mismo, donde nos roban la mano.
I think you
Sí,
lost
tristemente nos quedamos sin mano. Dejen F por la mano roja.
Of course not. Though Mommy assumes this is something you want back.
Vale, ahí es donde tiene a Poppy.
Finding you two down here was surprising. Always tells Mommy when guests are on their way down. didn't this time. Always tells Mommy loves to play
A mí me
games.
encanta
Do you
jugar.
like to play games?
¿Te gusta
How about you
jugar?
play some games with Mommy?
Sí, nos
Oh,
con-
you don't have to. Mommy can
Dice-
just keep little Miss
¿Y
Poppy
qué va a
if
hacer
you
Mommy?
don't want her. But Mommy already
Pero si ni siquiera la está sosteniendo con las manos. Claro, porque como no estaba terminada, pues obviamente fue descartado.
But Mommy won't let that happen to you. Mommy always knows where you are.
Y se va.
So this
Bueno,
version addressed one of the big issues. Mommy now kidnaps Poppy to give the player a moment to play
secuestra.
Mommy's games. But then we realized something. The player doesn't even need Poppy. Who cares if she's kidnapped? So Mommy showing up still didn't affect your current objective. So here's what we did to solve it. We had Poppy be the only one who knows the train code, so now you need her to escape. We also added that scene where Mommy comes out of nowhere and pulls Poppy down into the abyss. Problem solved. Now, Mommy steals your only way of escape, and watching Mommy
esta es la
kidnap
que
Poppy makes her
conocemos.
introduction all the more threatening. Number 3, the game
Número tres.
station's lost designs. Fans
Los
will remember
diseños
that the game
originales
station
de la
features a
zona de
giant
juegos,
mural of Mommy
de la estación de
Longlegs, a
juegos.
playground for the kids, and
Vale.
entrances to the station's 3 main
Esto es como lo
games.
conocemos.
But it didn't used to be this
A
way.
ver cómo iba a
The
ser
original design
originalmente.
of the game station was absolutely
Ah,
massive.
vale, este era
Featured a
el
mural
diseño
on the roof with a
original.
giant sun and moon illuminating the station.
Y
Although it
y
looked
esas
jaw-dropping,
caras se ven muy
there were two
aterradoras.
major issues. It was unrealistically big and was completely empty. It didn't seem like it could have been
Vale,
a
aquí
real
es donde
functioning
llegábamos.
location for kids. The second version featured a new design for the sun and moon and a lot more color.
Bueno, al
in the
menos
rooms to make
se
it more
esforzaron
inviting
en
for
el
the kids to
diseño,
visit. However, it was
que
still
está
completely
bien.
empty. So we went back to the drawing board, keeping in mind what a place like the game station would need to be a fully functional and realistic location. In the end, we shrunk the room, added a big playground for the kids to play in while they waited for their turn in the games, added structural supports for realism, catwalks for Playtime Co. employees to observe the things going on, and of course, added some classic Playtime Co. style branding. Number 4, musical
Número
memories
4.
lost design. Musical memory used to have a much
musicales
different aesthetic than it
perdidos.
currently does.
Vale,
In
este
the
era el
original
diseño
version,
del
the walls
musical
were
memory.
completely covered
A
in
ver.
TV screens of
Wow,
various sizes that would display the
esto
name
se
of the
ve,
button that you're
esto
supposed
se
to press.
ve,
The
no sé
buttons
cómo
you press during the
describirlo.
game used to be suspended by big mechanical arms. The reason this design was abandoned was fairly straightforward. The aesthetic was
Bueno.
too high-tech looking for Playtime Co. The array of TVs and mechanical arms made the room feel
Iban a haber
closer to a spaceship than a
televisores
toy factory.
en
On top
todas
of that, we
partes
also
donde
decided
teníamos
that we
que
wanted to
repetir los
include an
colores.
area where Mommy Longlegs could watch you play, and that
¿Sí
just
se
wasn't going
imaginan
to work
eso?
in a curved room with a bunch of TVs. Number 5, Cassie Cutie Pillar. Some of you may actually be aware of this
Ok,
one. Cassie
espera.
Cutie Pillar was the original
Este era-
character that was
espera,
going to be
espera,
chasing
espera.
you throughout the step.
Es que miren, este era PJ Puja Pilar. Y dice que se iba a llamar Cassie Caterpillar.
Was the
Bueno,
original character that was going to be chasing you throughout the statues game. She was a giant caterpillar with a pink snout, beady eyes, and 2 antennae. Cassie actually appeared in the official Chapter 2 trailer before she was scrapped.
vale, esto es lo que se pudo ver en el
We felt we
tráiler.
had the opportunity to make the character more unique by creating an unholy combination of 2 different animals. So we went back to the drawing board. We spent a long time picking the right face.
Vale, qué bueno que lo cambiaron,
Something that didn't feel
porque
too goofy for the
así,
statues section of the game.
con PJ Puga Pilar se ve más adorable. Comenten si PJ Puga Pilar es adorable, o si les gustaba el primer diseño de PJ Puga Pilar.
Simulation and realistic eyeballs, as well as various art of Cassie throughout the game having to be swapped with the new
Bueno.
PJ art. Number 6, Daisy the Flower and 7 other characters.
Número 6,
This is
Daisy la
probably
Flor.
the most well-known one on the list.
Ah,
Very
vale,
similar
esta
to Cassie
era
Caterpillar,
Daisy la
was the
Flor.
original character that was going to be
¿Se acuerdan de esta
lured towards you
personaje
during
que
the
aparecía en el
musical memory.
tráiler?
She was a flower marionette suspended on strings with a very unsettling face. Like Cassie, Daisy also appeared briefly in the trailer for Chapter 2. Daisy
¿Serio?
was abandoned because we wanted a character with more theming.
¿Y por
and a
qué la
way to alert
cambiaron?
the player that death was getting closer and closer. And this is where things got difficult. We went through 7 completely different
Ah,
character
y hubieron
concepts
más
for the musical memory
juguetes.
toy. A monkey, a clown, a
Un
fox,
payaso, un
princess,
zorro,
a
una
bluebird,
bailarina, un
another bird,
pájaro,
a ballerina,
una
ballerina bird,
bailarina.
and finally,
Ok,
a bunny.
vale, qué bueno que votaron por Bunso Bunny, porque creo que así se ve mucho mejor. ¿O qué dicen ustedes? ¿Les hubiera gustado ver a Daisy en el capítulo 2? Y no sé si la veremos en el capítulo 4.
Daisy the Flower wasn't
Bueno.
completely absent from Chapter 2, however.
Vale,
as we
hasta
see
tenía un
various art
jumpscare.
and posters of her throughout the game, as well as a full cardboard cutout with voice lines from Daisy. Number 7,
Los diseños de Mommy Longlegs. Vale. A ver cómo lucen los diseños de Mommy Longlegs. A ver, vale, esto es lo que podemos ver en el capítulo 2. ¿Vale? Vale, su diseño no convencía mucho. Sí. Vale, inclusive tenía una versión aterradora. Vale, y tenemos esta que se parecía más a las arañas.
To the point where we didn't think it would be realistic for Playtime Co. to create a toy like her. Another issue was this design didn't necessarily look like a toy at first glance either. The next designs really tried to push the creep factor in the face and reel back a bit on the spider elements. This design pass is also where we came up with the idea of Mommy having limbs that could stretch. Originally, her limbs were going to extend in the form of plastic
vale, y su cuerpo iba a ser como unos tubos que se estirarían, así como los sables de luz de Star Wars.
The variation of colors also made her design feel too sporadic and complex. To solve these problems, we came up with the concept of elastic plastic, a substance that Playtime Co. created that can stretch like rubber, but also retain its shape.
Díganme, ¿les hubiera gustado ver el diseño anterior de Mommy o les gusta más el diseño final de Mommy? Vale, tenía más diseños para parecerse más a las arañas. Dice, los 6 juguetes perdidos. ¿Y quiénes son los juguetes perdidos? Yo no los conozco. Claro, los que nos matan. Claro, teníamos un payaso, una de estas cosas que las vemos en el capítulo 2, un perro, un Sunny Buddy, que es el mismo que vemos, una rana, un auto con bocota. A ver, sala de control de calidad y sala de producción. Vale, solamente tenemos la sala de las manos verdes. Ok, vale, esto es normal. Ah, vale, Waka Hoogie tenía la sala de producción y Poppy Playtime tenía donde hacían la calidad de los juguetes. Número 10. La muerte de Mommy Longlegs. Vale, esa es la muerte de Mommy que todos conocemos.
Just as all hope seems lost, you pull down a lever that activates a grinder. Mommy's arm is pulled into the grinder and she desperately tries to escape, screaming for her life as she's slowly crushed to death.
Okay.
Now, you wouldn't think it, but there was actually quite a bit of debate behind the scenes about how Mommy should be pulled into the grinder. In the alternate version of Mommy's death,
¿cómo era?
it is actually pulled inside and grinded to a pulp.
Vale, dice, vale, como se ve, iba a perder los brazos y la cabeza. A ver. ¿Qué? Vale, la sacamos. Bueno, adiós, Mommy. Que te vaya bien con el experimento Milkshake. Bueno, se murió.
We decided to scrap this version for 2 reasons. One, the imagery of Mommy's upper half being dragged away would be more resonant than her lower half being dragged away. And 2, Mommy's head being grinded up might have just been too gruesome to show without the game getting an M rating. So there you go. Those were 10 lost secrets in Poppy Playtime Chapter 2. And in honor of Chapter 2's anniversary, we're doing a giveaway for 10 free copies of Chapter 2 on Steam.
Bueno amigos, espero que les haya gustado el video. No olviden suscribirse, dejar su like y activar la campanita de notificaciones para que no se pierdan ningún video. Y comenten si qué les hubiera gustado ver en el capítulo 2. Y no sé si esto lo veremos en el capítulo 4. Y bueno, nos vemos hasta la próxima.